Thank you, Stu. Good morning, everybody. So, as Stu said, my name's Carl. I've been in the market research industry for over 20 years now, and we started Living Lens in 2013 to unlock the insight in people's stories to help inspire decisions. So, today, let's talk about video. Video is obviously being used in market research for many years. It's not new. But the rise of automation and the adoption of artificial intelligence has changed the game for how video can be used. Unstructured data is turned into something that can be quantified and easily analyzed, and has moved beyond just understanding what people are saying. So today we're going to provide you with the insider's view of how video is currently being used in market research to great effect. And we're also going to fast forward to what the future holds, because this really is just the beginning. So consumers' use of video has exploded over recent years, and the application of video and research is transforming how we do things. And I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing today's group of presentations. The value that video is now adding in our market research process, both in terms of understanding the consumer and their own direct experiences, helping us analyze and extract valuable meaning and insight, and importantly, activating our stakeholders and clients is growing and growing. But to start off with, let's rewind. Let's go back in the future and just think about where we come from. So the use of video in our everyday lives has seen obviously rapid acceleration. For example, the first YouTube video was in 2005. And only 5 years later, in 2010, over 2 billion videos were served every day. Facebook Live was only launched a few years ago in 2015, and now 100 million hours of video is watched every day on Facebook. I think that's absolutely astounding in terms of how much it has penetrated society and everyday life. In 2007, the first iPhone was launched. It didn't have video recording capability. And now, clearly, we've all got those things in our pockets, those smartphones that allow us to record our everyday interactions and our significant memories at the touch of a button. Consumers weren't able to easily record themselves in 2007. The technology just wasn't available on a mass scale, and people weren't used to being on video. But now it's hard to imagine not being able to record a video with a mobile device. Now, I give a lot of presentations, and at this stage, I quite often say, just put your hand in the air if you've recorded a video in the last week or so. And obviously, lots and lots of people in the audience put their hand in the air. What's been interesting for me over the last sort of 6 months or so is I then follow that up with a question quite often, which is how many of you have shared a video, not necessarily on social media, but with a friend or family over the last week, and just as many people put their hands in the air, sometimes even more. So people are sharing content more and more these days, and I think that's an important aspect for how we can tap into that as researchers. Video has become the dominant source of data that arguably is untapped. It's become one of the most popular means of communication. And that progression in technology in both capturing and analyzing video content means that everybody is a filmmaker. And the research world isn't different at all. So, qual focus groups we've been recording for years. We've been sending film crews to people's homes to do interviews, and indeed for ethnographic studies for a long time. But historically, video was challenging to work with. Its cost and time required was clearly often prohibitive. Clients love seeing the customer. Why aren't brands more awash with consumer video? It's because we in agency world have these huge constraints of how difficult it is to work with in terms of that cost and time. But technology advancements in smartphones and bandwidths and the growth and the capability of the infrastructure is driving a cultural shift towards video. We can all see that, we can all feel it as consumers. And artificial intelligence and machine learning has made it possible for us to interpret video content and turn that groundswell, that explosion of content, into data and into really valuable insight. So many brands are already capitalizing on that fact that everybody's a filmmaker with their own means to record their experiences, wherever they may be, regardless of the country they're in. They're able to extract the data within video and use analytics to generate insight and tell stories at speed. And that is the major difference. That efficiency is really opening up new opportunities for all of us. So our challenge as an industry, I feel, is to embrace these opportunities and be brave enough to use and leverage these cultural shifts and technology advancements to do some of the heavy lifting for us, make our lives a little easier and focus more upon deep insight generation and, importantly, activation and engagement. So automation is making video more accessible and usable within our industry. In my own business, in Living Lens, back in 2016, about 22% of the video content we received, we were using machine speech recognition, using artificial intelligence to process. So far this year, that figure has risen to 63%. So why is that? It's due to a number of factors, but it includes accuracy, adoption, and the broadening of use cases. The accuracy is getting better. We're seeing that materially, not just in English, both in North America and in the UK, but in the world's most popular languages and beyond, because the cloud and artificial intelligence and the range of different expertise in this area is driving the technology forwards. But it's nowhere near as accurate and as consistently accurate as human transcription. But that's okay if we accept that both at scale, the laws of large numbers apply, and also in order for us to go from video that is not indexed and searchable to something that is highly indexed and highly relevant, we can use these technologies to enable that. So advancement in technology allows video to be used globally. People can film themselves wherever they are in the world. Machine speech recognition and curated technologies enable us to be able to access and understand that content super quick and drive great value for us as researchers. Automation helps to keep up with that speed demanded now and the volumes generated. It's also the key to really being able to use video as a data set, and a big data set as that. The volumes that we're now seeing are huge, and the data sets that are being created on longitudinal studies and over time, not to mention social media, are really opening up big data opportunities inside video. Accuracy does continue to improve, which in turn drives adoption, drives the acceptance of technologies, and drives value. So in terms of this video on demand era, in our daily lives, we are getting used to things on demand all the time and that instant gratification. Amazon Prime can get us goods and indeed food now within less than a couple of hours. TV programs are available at the press of a button. And the same is true in our world. So the introduction of video intelligence platforms like Living Lens not only help to capture video content on demand, they also help to unlock the insight contained within that rich, unstructured data source on demand too. Machine learning and artificial intelligence are making a huge contribution here. These tools started with what people were saying, extracting the spoken word and turning that into searchable text. But now we can also interpret the sentiment that those words convey. We can look at how people are saying those words in terms of tonal emotional recognition. We can understand how they are feeling through facial emotional recognition. And we can understand much more about their environment through object and activity recognition. New capabilities can reveal subtleties in data that we would never have picked up as humans through watching all of this content previously. The amount of data that can be extracted from just a small few moments of video is significant. You know, even things like from a facial emotional recognition perspective, we can identify critical thought. That isn't something that we immediately connect with as humans when we're looking at people's emotions and looking for those, you know, strong signals of joy or anger. But critical thought, when people are sort of internalizing and considering a moment, is often followed by externalizing an idea or a commentary or an opinion that is very useful to hear. And that's something that we're seeing real value in our projects from. And all of that information is searchable, so you can get to that moment, all those meaningful moments that matter, in seconds, across language barriers, negating the need to watch all that content. It's changing the game for us as researchers, and it's changing the game for our clients. So what does it mean? You know, in market research, it's allowed us to dig deeper. We can focus on how video can reveal deeper insights, and video and qual, in our experience, has expanded. You know, we are moving out of the innovator area in the adoption curve and into that early adoption segments. We can see more and more qual researchers opening up video across all methodologies because we're taking away the pain of getting from lots of video to meaningful moments. And it's also becoming more and more cost effective to run projects in that way. And therefore you can increase sample sizes or broaden the scope around different use cases. But now we're also seeing that movement from conventional qual to more and more video in qual, to video in quant, and the blurring and convergence of lines between qual at scale or video in quant. You know, this convergence between volume, I think, is going to continue. And we see that particularly in quant as well. You know, the replacement of open-ended text questions in surveys and CX programs to elicit more data for diagnostic purposes, which is essentially the reason why we have those open-ended text questions. You know, instead of getting 4 words from that response, typically in a typed response, we're seeing 6 to 8 times the amount of words on average that people are saying in video, and that can only help clients understand the why of what's driving the what in the numbers. The convergence of qual and quant, the automation of data creation and analytics presents huge opportunities. So where are we going in the future? Where will we be in 5 years? You know, for me, video in general, we can obviously expect to see it continue to grow, particularly in social, with stories in particular, an ever-increasing way to share and engage. We're seeing that as a dimension across all social platforms, and that's true for individuals and brands. There will be the continued rise of competitors to YouTube, as we're already seeing across Asia, and video will obviously remain big in marketing as well. But that content play is going to become more and more personalized. My experience is going to be different to your experience based upon the data that the marketing provider holds and the understanding of what's going to resonate with me in terms of messaging. And as for market research, it's going to continue to be storytelling plus. I'm delighted to see the rise of storytelling as a true force again in the recent period within our industry conferences, and indeed in terms of methodologies. That is at the heart of why I started and why my team started Living Lens, to use people's stories to inspire decisions. So we see storytelling continuing, and we can see that across the entire market. And there's going to be continued accuracy, improvements in accuracy across machine learning, as the data set continues to expand, as there are more and more use cases, as we get more and more focus and value derived from it. An increased inclusion of video within all breadth of projects. You know, for now, we see video being in qual. It's a complement, and it's being used again and again in the traditional areas, but we're using technology to enable that to happen more efficiently. That's going to expand. It's now starting to change the actual design of methodologies across a whole range of agencies and brands connected in. And that's and that evolution and, dare I say, disruption is going to happen with increased pace, particularly within quant as well. And we're moving that from that supplementing to replacing video as part of a project to video being the main component. I can see a future in 3 to 5 years where the survey is replaced with a single unstructured and structured data point so that we can understand the level of engagement of that consumer and replace the entire NPS survey, for example. People are engaging more and more with video, and it's getting easier to get to people's motivations and behaviors using video alone. We have recently conducted an entire study from start to finish in 48 hours, including recruitment, including seeing all people's studies, all people's videos and responses and journeys, focusing particularly upon the area of privacy, which we know is something very important to us and is resonating more and more with everybody every day. If you'd like to know more information about that study, please drop us a line. And indeed, if you would like to see a copy of that study, please drop us a line. Hopefully there'll be something in there that will be insightful and resonate with you and your business. Thanks very much for your time today. Looking forward to questions.